YouTube, what's happening? It's Friday, August 2nd, and as you can see, we got a full slate of baseball to talk about today. All 15 games, everyone's playing today. Drop a like and subscribe because you can see we had a green day yesterday. And not only was it green in baseball, we also went 1-0 in football because just being able to bet on football again, it just feels everything's right. That's what it needs to be. That's the way it should be. So high vibes all around, doing great. On top of that, gonna throw a little wrinkle into the baseball plays today. We're gonna talk about some hitter plays. Yeah, we're gonna look at some hitter props as well because I've been seeing some comments. I've been tracking some of you guys' comments and seeing how you do, and they've been doing well, and I've been doing a little research, and we're gonna go with it today. Why not? It's August. Let's have some fun with this. So drop a like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and jump into that first game right now. All right, first game, we got St. Louis and Chicago. We can see it's a pick-em with a 7.5. Looking at the numbers, we see both offenses are doing pretty good. 62% Murphy, both in the top 6 in offense and runs a game at 7 apiece, and both in the top 4 with over 300 averages. Looking at the pitchers, we got Assad going out there for Chicago. You can see what he's done recently. He played St. Louis for 2.1 innings for back on the 13th, 7 hits, 3 earned. Only 44 pitches. He's a weird starter. He doesn't go that many innings, so it's a little confusing with him. And then Eric Fedde, first start with St. Louis, got traded away from the lowly White Sox. So you can see what he's done. Dude's been a beast. That's why they went and got him. Has not faced the Cubs recently. Looking at the props a little closer, we can see, do a little background here. We go Assad first. We look at his background here. You can see the numbers, what everybody's done against him. Nothing really truly stands out. Goldie with 2 home runs and 9 at-bats is what I look at the most. And the righties lefty matchup, they're about 50-50 split. Nothing truly stands out on this screen. And on the props, I went through these. Nothing really stands out to me. I mean, it's very up and down. And it's hard because we don't know how many innings he's actually going to pitch. I'll show them all for you. The hits was enticing. If you think he's going to pitch more like 5 innings, maybe 6, that could be a play with St. Louis batting 324 in the last 3. That could be the move. Walks and outs, you can see there, not much stands out there. Fed, on the other hand, we can see him now. History. Swanson's 364, 22 at-bats. That's key. That'll come up in a minute. You can see pretty good average, lots of at-bats. No home runs, though, so that's fine. That's not a problem. So you can see the numbers there. And you can see Chicago versus righties aren't that good. There's a lot of red on the screen. So look at the props here. I went through these as well. To me, nothing stood out, but I'll show you real quick in case there's something you want to see. Like hits, everything seems to be a downward trajectory for him because he's been pretty good. That's why they traded for him. So you can see the numbers, and nothing's truly standing out here. So let's go to the props. First one I like on the hitter side, I like this Swanson over half bases because it's 160. That's fine. I'll explain why in a minute. You can see last 5, it's hit 4 out of 5. It's hit 9 out of 10. It's hit 15 out of 20. Head to head it's hit. And we can see in the matchup screen that he has gone 22 at-bats with a 364 average, which means I like that. I'm going to be taking that. And I'm going to do a 2-game parlay on this because why not? It's baseball. We're having fun with this. This is what it be. Betting should be entertainment. If you're betting to try to like pay your bills, you're doing it wrong. We should be having fun. And I want to have some fun. So we're going to start doing this. I'm going to take 2 moderately favored hitters and put them in a little 2-game piece, a little 2-piece and a biscuit. Why not? You know? So that's what we're going to do. So the first one's going to be Swanson over a half a base. That's it. It's 160 at your best number you can find. And then also, I'm going to add Goldie over half a base. Same number. Lots of green on the board. And I already showed, if you look at the matchup, that boom, boom, Goldie has 9 at-bats with 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and a 1.4 OPS. So he's been doing great against Assad. So you put these two together, that gets you a plus 164 at those 2 numbers. So I'm going to rock with that for sure. On top of that, so that's one play. I'm also going to rock with the over 7.5 because I know these pitchers are good. As in his first start with St. Louis, I don't like that. Kind of want to fade that. And you see how hot the bats are. I mean, let's be honest, the bats are pretty hot. So I'm going to ride with those in the over 7.5. If it was 8, 8.5, I wouldn't. But 7.5, yeah, I'll nibble. I'll take a bite. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that little 2-game hit piece parlay, and I'm going to take this over of 7.5 and move on to the next game. All right, I'm digging into my bag of tricks on this one. KC and Detroit. We can see Detroit slightly favored in this one. 7 is your total. Looking at this, 54% Murphy based on what they've done this year. Offense, clear advantage to KC. They're all single digits in every category. And Detroit is 30th in most categories here. So we have a Detroit can't do anything. 176 average in the last 3. A 1.7 runs. Come on, terrible. Let's look at the pitchers. We got the man, the myth, the legend himself going out there. Skubal, you can see his numbers, pretty good. He gave up 10 hits once, whatever. And then you got Reagan's going out there for KC. You can see his numbers. Not as good as Skubal, but still pretty good numbers. So you can see, we have a good pitching matchup, hence why the total is 7. Let's look at the info a little closer. We'll start Reagan's, his matchup. History says that he has been great against these guys, and that doesn't help when you're 30th in batting average. So everyone's struggling against him. They do decent. A couple guys do decently against lefties, but not against Reagans. They don't. So that's making me love some team total under. That's right. I said it, team total under. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. I've already laid it out. And against lefties, we said that. Now let's look at some props. I didn't like any of these props, but I will show them off because his earned runs has been kind of high, but it was against the Cubs, who's been hot. Arizona was extremely hot. Colorado, which has, it was in Coors Field, and you can see that, yeah, this might be his best matchup of the season. Strikeouts, he's up, and could be. You might want to take that. 7's a lot, though. Hits is, he gives us some hits, walks, and pitching outs. There you go. Pretty consistent, but 18.5, I hate that. I need to be 17. So, Skubal, let's look at his history. Key thing to point out on the hitter prop side, everyone and their mama going to be over Bobby Witt. 19 at bats, $158. Do with that what you will. You can see 316 OPS. That didn't get the job done. Skubal owns his ass. So now what I do want to point out is Perez. 24 bats, 333, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. He will be going in my home run leg at the end. I just got to do it. I got to. So you can see it's up and down here. Against lefties, KC is pretty split. The ones that are good are really good. The ones that are not are still mid-twos. Ain't bad. So KC might have some success against Skubal today. So strikeouts. You never take strikeouts against KC. It never works out well for you. Hits, walks. He does walk at least one. Earned runs, and pitching out. So you have everything you need to see there. And we already saw the matchup. And then now I'm going to show this. Here is all the people, all their information. Lots of green on here. So, and the one I wanted to show off was Salvador Perez. You can see what he's done. You can have his hits if you want. That's minus 200 and 194. Ugh, that's a little too high because I need someone to parlay him with. His hits, runs, RBIs is 105. That is probably the best play I want to do. I think that's what I will do because singles that's too specific. So I'd rather have something like hits, runs, RBIs, and it's plus money. It's nice. His home runs is down here at 420. I like that since he already has 3 and 24 bats. That's pretty good. So we're going to take Perez over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs for basically plus money. We're also going to pop over here to the team total for Detroit, and we're going to go under 1.5. Yeah, all right. We're being cheeky in this one. We're niching down hard in this one, because we're going to go with the fact that Detroit can't score and Reagan's is owning them. We're going to take under 1.5 runs in the first 5 innings for Detroit. We're going to take the Salvi prop of hits, runs, RBIs here, and then we're just going to call it a day and move on to the next game. All right, next up we got Arizona in Pittsburgh. You see Arizona's a slight favorite on the road. 8.5 is the total. Looking at this, 54.8% Nerfy based on what they've done this year. You can see the offense for Arizona has been on fire, blazing, lava, magma, and fuego, whatever you want to call it, because there's a lot of ones next to their numbers. 10.3 runs a game in their last 3, and a 410 team average is pretty unbelievable. That's crazy. They're hitting that well, and they're only striking out 2.7. So yeah, lots of ones. Pittsburgh, 5 runs, 241. That's 13 to 17. Yeah, advantage Arizona pretty easily. And Brandon Pfaadt is going out there. So he had a rough game against Pittsburgh of all teams in his last outing. 6 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned. So that should be a fun one. And you can see before that was pretty good. Pretty good most of the season. He just kind of fell apart against Pittsburgh. So it's curious to see, does he bounce back against Pittsburgh, or does Pittsburgh have his number? That's the question. And then Louis LL Cool J Ortiz out here. You can see his numbers. He's been pretty good pitcher overall outside of his 10-6 down here against Tampa. But yeah, pretty good. A game against Arizona last week, 5 hits, 3 earned in 5 innings. So he got it was a 4-3 loss. So yeah, it's still a pretty decent game. Can't complain. Let's look a little deeper, shall we? Let's start with him. We go to his matchup. We look at the history. We see who's done what. Not many at bats. If there's not enough data here, we don't take a hitter prop. That's what we're doing here now. It makes sense. I like it. So I think it's going to flow smoothly. So that's what we're going to do. So nothing here is standing out because if you don't want your max is 4 at bats, I need more data points. And against righties, Arizona is 50-50. Nothing's truly standing out in these numbers. Look at the pitcher props. Wins first. Why is wins first? That's weird. Strikeouts is up, and that's 3.5. We see Pittsburgh is, I mean, not Pittsburgh, Arizona's just not striking out against anybody, so enjoy that. Hits, I mean, 5.5 is pretty high, but he doesn't give up that many hits. He hit 5 last time, so I don't know if I can do that. Earn runs, no. And outs. I mean, if Arizona tees off on him, is he going to make it this long? I don't know. So let's go to Brandon. Let's see what he's up to. Boop, boop. There we go. We do see Mr. Cruz Missile here has 1 home run and 3 bats with a 6.67 average. Pretty good numbers. He hits the ball so damn hard, I swear. And you can see the numbers. Nothing truly stands. McCutcheon 6 at bats with a 1.67 might be the worst thing that stands out. Against righties, you can see the numbers. Nothing stands out here. Nothing impressive. Nothing. So, and the props here, out to 17.5 against Pittsburgh's offense. I kind of like this, to be honest, his outs, because he seems, this is what, going 6 full innings. That could be a play. Strikeouts is going to be a no. Hits is going to be a no. Earn runs, because, yeah. And walks, yeah. The only thing, even though he got rocked against him for 5 some hits, he still went 6 innings, which is a key notice here. So I'm liking that play. So for me, coming back to this, I can't take a Nerfy because the offense is too good for Arizona. I can't take any props, or any hitter props, because there's no key matchups. The only pitcher prop I like is fought over 17.5, but I am concerned because of the last game out. So the only thing I'm liking this one, I'm going to take the Arizona money line because I think pitchers are pretty equal. Bats are clear advantage Arizona, so we're going to take Arizona on the money line and move on to the next game. Hi, future me here. I thought about it. I was going to take Arizona money line, but instead we're going to make the move because the offenses are so on fire for Arizona. I'm going to actually pop over here to the odd props here, and we see the team total over 4.5 is actually plus 100. And I believe if they were going to win the game anyways, they were going to get more than 4.5 runs. So I'm going to take the over here, not take the money line, and now we'll move on to the next game. All right, next up we got Milwaukee and Washington. You can see it's Milwaukee slightly, but it's basically a pick 'em, let's be honest. The total is 9, 57% Nerfy in what they've done this year. Runs 3.7 versus 4, no real difference. Both bottom 10. 250 versus 274, no real difference. Middle of the road. Looking at Zyphetches, Montes making his Milwaukee debut, facing Washington, who lit him up a couple games ago. 4.2, 6 hits, 7 earned runs. Not your best game, buddy. And Irvin going out there for Washington, who has faced Milwaukee, 4 innings, 9 and 6. So both pitchers got lit up the last time they faced these offenses. So hey, that should be a fun one right there. Let's look a little closer, shall we? Let's start with Irvin. Little history lesson, shall we? We can see that's good. And that's good. I want to look at these two dudes right here, 429, 571. These OPSs are super high with more, it's 2 games worth of at-bats, so I want to check those out. And they get Milwaukee versus righties. They seem to be a little bit better, but everything's in the 200s. Nothing's truly standing out here. So a lot of 200s. Looking at the hitter props, pitcher props, we got walks, up and down, strikeouts. Hits up and down. Nothing's truly standing out here so far. Let's come over to Montes, see what we have for him. His history. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. We have a couple home runs that but that was all in one game. This is all from one game except for Ramirez. And Ramirez ain't good enough to really look at for the stuff. So, and Washington versus righties is about a 50-50 split. Nothing is really, there's a 308, 357, but he doesn't play much. So you can see what stands out. And the pitcher props. He walks a ton, I will say that. However, I mainly use Hard Rock, and they don't do walks, so that makes it hard, so I kind of avoid those. You can have fun with this, by all means. Look at it. Have fun. Enjoy. You can see the numbers. Good odds. I just can't do it. So, strikeouts, hits, and earn runs. Yeah, I'm not liking any of those. So, now I did talk about those 2 from earlier. Let's look. We have these numbers here. The numbers are not the best. Strikeouts over a hit, maybe, but look at the juice. That's crazy. I'm gonna lay off these because nothing is really over 1.5 bases. He's only hit it 4 out of 10. and that's not good enough. I need more green if I'm gonna take that. So I'm probably looking at these two dudes. Nothing's truly standing out here, so I'm gonna lay off that as well. Coming back here, everything's pretty equal. The pitchers both got rocked. That's pretty equal. So for me, I don't like the pitcher props, except for that walk one, which I can't really do walks. I don't want to do walks really. I don't like any of the hitter props. I don't like the side. I don't like the nerfy because the pitchers got rocked and the offenses aren't that good. So for me, the entire game is going to be a pass. I'm just going to pass on everything and just move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Toronto and New York. New York is minus 169 is your total. Looking at this, 55% nerfy based on what they've done this year. Offense clearly leans New York. They have been on fire. 9 runs a game in their last 2 while batting 288 for 6. Toronto, 4.7 per 17, 236 per 20th. Advantage New York, clear. Looking here, we have Stroh going out there. You can see his numbers here, what he's done. He's been a little up and down. That's the best you can say. He's going to give up a few runs. That's what he does. So nothing truly stands out here for him. He faced Toronto on 6-8, 4 innings, 5 and 3. That means your average start. So, and Gossman's going out there. You can see what he has done. Face the Yankees. Triple sevens here in 4.1, and outside of that, he gives up some runs too. So his worst game was the Yankees, and he's facing them again. Let's dig a little deeper, shall we? Let's start with him. One thing I want to point out, he has a lot of at-bats against these people. These bats have seen him a ton, which is great for hitters. But the things I'm pointing out, Stanton, 19 at-bats, 368, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 1.1 OPS. That sounds good, right? Let's look at Soto, 13 at-bats, 538, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, 1.5. Yeah, these two dudes will be looked at a little closer when we come to the hitter prop section. So, yeah, those two for sure. Let's look at his Yankees versus righties. You can see how they do. Nothing's really standing out. Nothing bad, nothing great. So, and only prop they gave me was strikeouts. I don't know why they only gave me this. That's all we have out there. So, just strikeouts, and no, pass. So, let's look at Stroman for now. Let's see what he has done, his history. Some at bats, Vladdy's 250 and 12 at bats and 500. That's pretty good. Actually, I figured better. Nothing else is really standing out. Toronto versus righties. Oh, we got some up and downs. 0.071. Wow. Oh, yeah. So you can see, like, Varjo is 189. That's not good. So, and you can see I only got strikeouts for him too. I don't know why there's no props for this game out yet at all the books. That's wild. And it's only FanDuel and Caesars even has it. The rest of the books are slacking. Step up your game. So let's look at the props a little bit, like I said I would. So I got Stanton, I got Soto, I got them highlighted. They're both over hits. They both hit it, and they're now. I know Stanton's only been back 3 games. I know this, but I mean, when you have that kind of history against somebody, you don't need to be gone. You see him all the time. So yeah, runs could be an option for better juice, but I think I'm gonna take these two dudes over 0.5 hits, which is minus 200, minus 225, your best number. It'll obviously move through the day, and you can keep shopping for numbers. But if you put those two numbers together, you get a plus 117 parlay of both dudes to get a hit. I'm gonna take that. Why not? Because they both have had amazing success against Gossman. I'm gonna go with that. On top of that, I'm also going to come over here and I'm going to take, well, where is it? It's going to be New York team total over 4.5. I'm going to take the Yankees to get at least 5 runs because, as we see, they're scoring 9 runs a game in their last 3. They scored 6 in the last game. They've been getting over 6 runs on average in the last 2 weeks. So I can give me over 4.5 for minus 120 for New York. Yeah, I think I'll take that. So we'll take those two and move on to the next game. All right, next up we got San Francisco and Cincinnati. Cincy's a slight favorite at home. 9 is the total. Looking at this, we see 61% nerfy based on what they've done this year. On top of that, we see Cincy has the advantage offensively, 5.7 for 12th in the last 3. San Fran, 2.7 for 28th. And 232 for 22nd for San Fran, meanwhile Cincy is 273 for 14th. So Cincy has the advantage offensively by a little bit, so pretty good for them. Looking at the pitchers, though, we can see Cincy's pitcher, Abbott, he's been let up a little bit a couple times. Now, he pitched great a couple other games, but yeah, he's been a little up and down. He's more consistent in June, but in July, he's been up and down a little bit. So, and he has not faced San Fran recently. Harrison's going out there for San Fran, hasn't faced Cincy recently. He did have a gap where he didn't pitch for almost a month. He's had 4 games back, and he got a little rough, but then the last 3 have been just gems. So I would say currently, I would say Harrison is slightly better than Abbott. So that gives me San Fran with the advantage in pitching, Cincy with the advantage in hitting. So the side already cancels out. Looking back at this, the batting average is too high for Cincy. I'm not liking a Nerfy in this one. Nerfy could be a play. Some people will take the Nerfy just because Harris has done so well, but Abbott's been a little up and down. That kind of worries me, so we'll pass on the Nerfy. Look at the props. We only have props for Abbott. We don't have them for Harrison for some odd reason, so we'll look at Harrison's numbers first and see if anything stands out. So history we have with Cincinnati, not many at bats, so nothing really standing out, nothing to look at. And then Cincy versus lefties, they hit lefties pretty well. Outside of a couple dudes, they do pretty decently. Ellie's at 230, but there's a lot of green. There's a 310 for India, so you can see the numbers. Now, if we look at flop it back over to where it's supposed to be, Abbott's not much information either. So we're not really going to have any hit props probably. So because there's not enough data to really see. I want the history plus what they've done in the last couple games. So, and San Fran versus lefties, they love hitting lefties. Everyone likes to hit lefties in this lineup. So yeah, that's impressive. So that's okay. So let's look at Abbott's props. I mean, if you want to, this is a weird game. Strikeouts is, yeah, he has not been a strikeout dude recently. Hits, he's been up in hits, but he was down for a while. Earned runs, outs. Yeah, to me, I'm not liking anything in this game. I don't even have props for Harrison. We have the numbers, we have the data. The numbers, what do they mean? They tell us since he should be better, but everyone can hit lefties in this game. So, I mean, to me, I don't like anything. Nothing's standing out. For me, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to pass completely and just move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Baltimore and Cleveland. It's basically a pick 'em again. 9 is your total. Looking at this, 55% Nerfy based on what they've done this year. Offenses are both tops hit in the last 3 in scoring at 6.3 for Baltimore, 7.7 for Cleveland, 277 versus 275. There's no difference in that on the averages. Let's look at the pitchers. We got Kramer going out there for Balti. You can see what he's done. Hasn't faced Cleveland recently. Got a little roughed up against the Cubs, but since then, I mean, pretty good numbers outside of all that. Carrasco's going out there. He faced Baltimore on June 26th, 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned. Pretty decent game. Outside of his last two have been rough. 9 for 6 and 6 for 6 in Philly and Detroit. Not the best 2 outings. So he might be a little shooken. So a little shooketh, if you will. So you can see those numbers. Let's look a little deeper in the props. Let's start with Carrasco since we're already talking about him a little bit. History against Carrasco, Baltimore dudes. Jimenez has 9 at bats with 173. McCann's not good. 17 and 176. That's not good. That ain't gonna get the job done. So you can see the numbers there. Nothing truly standing out. Let's look at the props, see if anything stands out. He gives up 6 hits a bunch, but that's right at the line. That's only a half hit margin. That's not good. That's not looking good. Earned runs is not walks. And pitching oots is up. It's a hill right there. It started up, and now it's going down. I don't like that. Let's go to Kramer, see what we got over here. History. Anybody got something good? Ooh, got a 1 home run, but outside of that, nothing's really standing out. Jose's 286 and 7 at bats, but only a 571 OPS. That ain't good. That ain't gonna get the job done. Inverse righties, you can see it's up and down. Nothing truly stands out. I forgot to do that again. Carrasco. Baltimore versus righties, you can see them. They like to hit righties. You can see they got all a bunch of green numbers overall. So go back to Kramer. Let's look at his props. Strikeouts. I mean, there's a couple games he hit 3.5 is oof. Some high juice too. Hits, earned runs, walks. I mean, kind of like that, but then, Cleveland's one of those teams that just doesn't strike out much. You see they're 6.3 in the last 5. I just know they're one of those 3 teams, them, KC, and San Diego. They never strike out. So, yeah, good luck betting strikeout props against them. So, yeah, I'm not taking a Baltimore pitcher striking out Cleveland dude. So I'm going to pass on that. I don't like any of these props, so we're going to pass on that. Here's the rest of the dudes out here. If you want to see anything, you can see the hundreds out here. Calder's been a beast. He's never faced Carrasco, so that's something to take note of. I'm not going to play it because he's never faced him. So you can see, but the juice is high on some of these, like HRR 155. So you can see this list. It's pretty intensive, if you will. So, but nothing's really standing out on here. Cleveland won 4 in a row. That's worth noting. So you have that. And on top of that, we have all the information. It should be a fairly high scoring game, I think, but the total's 9. I'm not liking it. So for me personally, I think I'm just going to lay off this one completely and just move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Miami and Atlanta. We see Atlanta's minus 235. Ooh, that's a high number. 9 is your total. Looking at this, 44% nerfy based on what they've done. Offense, 3.7 versus 5.0. That's 22nd and 13th advantage Atlanta. Atlanta's hitting 276 for 10th in the last 3 games. Miami's hitting 240 for 18th. Slight advantage Atlanta. And Miami is striking out a ton at 10 a game. Atlanta's right behind them at 9.7. So offenses aren't doing too, they're about middle of the road, but advantages Atlanta slightly. Looking at the pitchers, Miami's sending out Valente Beloso. So you can see his information. He pitched on the 2nd of July. That was a literal month ago now. 7 for 5 against Boston. And before that, June 26th. I mean, pretty good numbers here. So 8 strikeouts, so that was impressive. And Schwellenbach's going out there, and he either gives up 4 runs or pitches a gem. That's what he does. So, and he strikes out a ton. So I think I like his strikeout prop. I think it's 5.5 currently. We'll go with that here in a second. We can see that he hasn't faced Miami recently. So let's pop on over to the props. Bang, here we go. Yep, sure enough. It is strikeouts. It's 5.5. He's hit over this in, was that 6 out of 7 games. The only time he did it was San Diego, who doesn't strike out much. So yeah, he struck out 11 in the Mets. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, I will be taking his over 5.5 strikeout prop for sure. Let's look at the matchups just in case something stands out. They never faced him. That's good. That's good for pitchers. Against righties, they're decent against righties, but the numbers aren't too great. So I feel good about that. Their K rates are pretty. There's a 40. So yeah, we got some information there. So yeah, I like his strikeouts. I'm not going to take his earned runs because he's either 1 or 4. This is what he does. Hits, I don't care how many hits he gives up. Just strike out 6 dudes. That's what I care about right now. That's what I'm taking. I don't care how many innings you pitch, as long as you pitch at least 5. I mean, come on, get me 6 strikeouts. So we're gonna go with that because you see the number. It's got some good juice on it. I'll take that as a straight single bet. Belozo doesn't have any props. I mean, does he even have any matchup history with anybody? Let's see. Nope. And Braves versus righties, they're better against lefties. You can see some of these numbers are low. Ooh, not good. Why? I get why Atlanta's favored, but I don't know why they're favored by so much because nothing's truly standing out with this. So I'm looking at his props, a couple strikeouts. I mean, you might want to take a 4, see if he can strike out 4 Braves. That might be a move, but it's his first game in a month. So have fun with that. And nothing else is looking good. So if you want to look at just all the dudes, there's all the numbers there for all the people. Arcia's got over half a hit in 10 straight games now. That's a thing. You got broad bases. Yeah, none of these are really standing. Ozuna runs 8 out of 10. I'm not doing any of those. So for me, the only one I'm going to rock with, I'm going to take that Schwellenbach over 5.5 strikeouts. I don't like the money line. I just don't. Atlanta should be favored, yes, by like 150, 140, not 235? No chance, no shot, no way. And the total is 9. I can't do that. No. So for me, I'm not taking Murphy. I don't trust none of this for Murphy. Yeah, the only thing I'm liking is Schwellenbach over 5.5 strikeouts, and I'll move on to the next game. All right, next up we got Boston and Texas. It's Pick'em currently with a 9 as your total. Looking at this, 54% Murphy based on what they've done so far. 7.7 runs for third for Boston while batting 322 for third as well. Texas on the other end of the spectrum, 2.7 for 28, 214 for 26. So yeah, clear advantage for Boston in this one offensively. Looking at the pitchers, Cutter's going out there for him. You can see Cutter's been a little iffy recently. I mean, he had a couple great games, but then these last 2 games, I mean, it was the Dodgers and Yankees. Like, come on, a couple considered super teams. Yeah, you're going to struggle sometimes against them. So, yeah, but either way, outside of that, he hasn't faced Texas recently, which should be a little bit easier of a matchup, hopefully, for him. So, and Texas is setting out Urena, who is a reliever, as you see, and you can see what he does. He doesn't go many innings. So, looks like they're trying to get him more into the rotation because he's now at 4.1. They're slowly getting his innings up. So you can see what he's done. Let's look at the props a little bit. See, does he even have props? He has some history against Boston. Not much. Smith's 12 at bats, 250, not worth talking about. Devers is a 333, not that great. Boston versus righties is pretty 50-50 split. Nothing truly stands out with this. Look at his props. He has a few. He has some hits. I went 2024. Yeah, he's not a bad. I mean, 9 hits isn't good. Strikeouts, he's 3.5. No, and walks is a no. I don't like any of the stuff. Cutter, on the other hand, Cutter history versus Texas. He looks like he's done pretty well. A lot of red, a couple, nothing too terrible. Tex- Texas versus righties is about 50-50 split as well. Again, nothing truly standing out except for the reds are like 100 reds. That ain't good. So let's look at some props. His outs was consistent, and then bam, a couple low ones. I don't like that. I don't trust that. Strikeouts, I'm not. He's gone downhill again. Given his last 2 games where he got blew up against by the Yankees and Dodgers, obviously. Earned runs is going to be high. The 2 times he's faced Texas, 3 and 2 on the earned runs. Strikeouts, 6 and 7, and the outs, 12 and 18. But this was both last year, so I don't particularly like anything in the prop plan for these 2. If you look at the rest of the dudes, you can see all the information. Again, I didn't like any of theirs. I mean, there are some, last, over half on bases, seeming getting a hit 9 out of 10, just small things, but you can see the juice lines up with it. So for me, I don't like the props. I do like Boston to win the game because they're going against relievers. They should be able to get runs. And I do like Boston team total, which is what we're going to look at right now. We're going to see which one we're going with. So Boston is a money line, sure, but we go to team props. We go to Boston. We go to runs. We go team total over 4.5 might be the move because their offense, as you see, 3rd in runs, 3rd average. So that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to go Boston team total over 4.5 because it's right now. You can see it is minus 110. Pretty good odds right here. I'm going to take that. I'm going to leave the side alone just in case Crawford has a 3rd consecutive bad game. I think the offense can do enough against a bullpen game to get at least 5 runs. So we'll take that and move on to the next game. All right, next up we got Tampa and Houston. We got Houston as a pretty heavy favorite, 150 with a 7.5 total. Looking at the 42% Nerfy based on what they've done this year, both offenses have struggled. You can see it here. There's a lot of high numbers. 4.3 versus 3.3 runs per game, 19 for Tampa, 26 for Houston. That's not doing too great. 221 for 24th for Tampa, 235 for 21st for Houston. Again, bottom 10 is not where you want to be. This is right where I want to be for a Nerfy, though. I do like this so far for a Nerfy, and Tampa's striking out a ton, but Houston's not. However, we have pitchers to look at too. We have Baz going out there. Baz has been good in his 4 starts. Let's be honest. He has a short leash, but he struck out 7 last time. He's a strikeout dude. He pretty good numbers. Can't complain. However, Kikuchi's making his first start for Houston ever since he got traded from Toronto, and you can see what he has done. His last 3 games have not been good, and he's making his first start in Houston with a new team, new setup, new everything. I don't like that. That makes, we don't know what we're going to expect out of him. So for me, I have to pass on that Nerfy. I can't do it. Now, I do give Tampa the advantage here in the pitching because we see, Kikuchi was good for a while, but 4, 4, 7, 4, 5, a couple 2s. It just hasn't been good recently. So, and hasn't faced Tampa Bay recently. Baz hasn't faced Houston recently, so nothing stands out there. So let's look closer, I should say. Kikuchi, history. We got a lot of green on there. That's not good. We don't want to see a bunch of green. And Tampa versus lefties, they like hitting lefties. And some of these are really high, like 390, 359, 337. That ain't good. That ain't good for him. So, yeah, Nerfy's off the table. Let's look at the props. Anything stands out. Earn runs, up and down. Hits. Hits are pretty high. An over hit prop could be a thing, especially going, but then again, the offenses are kind of struggling, so that might be kind of hard. And yeah, see, I don't like any of that. Baz only has 4, but we have history. Bang, bang. There we go. No history. Houston versus righties. You can see they're not as good. Now, even though they're not as good, even the Reds, 265, 271, 296. These aren't bad Reds. So, and let's look at this 4. Strikeouts, 4.5, but it's Houston, and we see Houston just doesn't strike out much, so I can't mess with that either. That makes it hard. So we look at this. He's getting better. He's staircasing down. That's where you want to go. I don't like any of those props. Just don't like them all. So for me, I don't like any of the props. And since I've been showing it here's everyone else. Here's all the dudes. Here's all the bats. You can see all the information. Kikuchi over 1.5 earned runs has been 8 out of the last 10. But hey, I mean, have fun with it. I don't like any of it personally. So for me, I'm going to just pass on all the props. The side and the totals. The information here is pretty equal, so I really don't want to take a side because it looks like Tampa might have the advantage in pitching, but Houston looks like they should have the advantage in bats. But this is so close. It's just a weird one overall. I don't like the Nerfy. I don't like a side. I don't like the, what's the total? 7.5? Not with Kikuchi pitching. Not a chance. So I don't trust any of it. I'm going to pass completely and just move on to the next game. All right, we got a fun one. We got the White Sox and the Twins. We got the Twins at 298. Basically 300 money line. And you know how those go in baseball. So we tend to leave the 300 money lines alone. And if you notice a trend, what is one thing I haven't taken today? That's right. I haven't taken a money line all day. There might be a theory behind that. So anyways, we can see the total is 8.5. 55% Nerfy based on what they've done this year. 3.7 for Chicago for 22nd while batting 240 for 18th in the last three. Minnesota 3.3, 208. They were struggling bottom four and all of a sudden had a blow up, 8 runs and 286 in the last game. So we'll see what happens because before that, Chicago was better, interesting enough. I still don't think Minnesota should be 300 right now, not from this information. Pitchers, we got Joe Ryan going out there. He's been a little up and down in July. He was good in June. He had a couple great games with a 4 spot, 5 spot. Yeah, not the best numbers. And Davis Martin has pitched 1 game. And that was on the 27th, 2.2, 3-1. Good game. Can't complain. So let's look over at some props, see what we got. His history against Twins batters, he has a little bit. And pretty good numbers. Outside of there's no home runs, only 1 RBI. Can't complain. Good numbers. Minnesota versus righties. They're better against lefties. This ain't stacking up for a minus 300 so far. I'm not seeing it. If you are, tell me, because I'm not. And let's look over, because I don't have any props for him. There's no props for Martin. So, but I do, because there's no props, because he's a reliever. Let's be honest. He's only pitched 2.2 innings. So that's just, it's a bullpen game. They're conceding this one, basically. So let's pop over to Ryan now. History. There is some history. We see Benintendi has a 4.12 average and 17 at bats with a home run at a 1.2. Benintendi might make the list. And then outside of that, Lopez, no. Sheets, no. Chicago versus righties, again, up and down. They're down versus both sides. It doesn't matter what that color is. It's going to be a lower number. So we can look at Joe Ryan props. Earned runs has been crazy. Up and down like a roller coaster. That would be a fun ride right there. Strikeouts is going up. He's trending up. But 6.5 at Chicago. They're actually not striking out much. They're only 10th at 7.7. So I leave that alone. Hits. Up and down, walks, oots. Ooh, that's consistency. Ugh. Yeah, I don't like that. So, and here's all the dudes, because I know everybody wants to see the dudes. Here's everybody what they've done. Kepler over half his 9 out of 10. I mean, Castro has struck out 9 out of 10 games at least one time. So you can see what they've done here. This is pretty good. Come back to here. I just looked at everything. Yeah, it's a relief game. Chicago's got pretty decent pitching, though. They still have, even though they got rid of Fetty, they still got some good pitchers. I don't see why it's 300. It doesn't make sense. It's one of those weird ones where Chicago could win as a massive underdog. I'm going to pass on the side. Again, no money line. Not in this one. Not a shot. No chance. Just looking at these numbers, Chicago's better. Pitcher, Martin looked good in his couple innings he pitched. Joe Ryan has been a little iffy. I just kind of want to leave everything in this game alone and just move on to the next game. That's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, next up, we got the Mets and the Angels. We got the Mets as a slight favorite, 9 is your total, 55% Nerfy based on what they've done. You can see the offense is 6.7 for 8 for the Mets in the last 3, 5 runs for 13 for the Angels. We got slight advantage New York. 286 versus 274, that's 7 and 12. That's not really much of an advantage in points. That's a 12-point differential. And strikeouts are about the same, middle of the pack. Pitching, Tyler Anderson, who somehow is still an Angel. I don't know how he didn't get traded. Hey, whatever. Good for him. So you can see what he did. 10 Ks against Oakland, pretty good game. 6-4 against Seattle, 7-6 against Detroit. So you can see he's been a little up and down. So, but still pretty good numbers overall. Blackburn's going out there for the Mets. Former Oakland A, welcome to New York. You get to see what he's done, and it ain't been good. So the last couple of games have been rough. That was a decent game. That was rough. So, I mean, yeah, I would have to give Angels the advantage in the pitching. I would give the Mets the advantage slightly in the batting, so that cancels out the money line all day. Nerfy's out because both teams are top 12 in average and top 13 in runs. I can't take a Nerfy with offenses doing good like that. And then you saw how Blackburn's been recently. So, yeah. And going back here to Blackburn, let me say, this was his first game back. Before that, this 777 was back in May. And back in May, we tend not to care about those games so much. I just noticed it was May. So he's had one game, it was 5-4. So hey, his first game back. So maybe they think he'll be better. So still got to give the advantage to Tyler Anderson. So let's look at props a little closer. Let's start with Blackburn. His history against the Angel dudes. Awards, 8 hits, 375, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. He's going in a home run prop today, for sure, with Perez from KC. I got 2 so far. We're getting them built up. Outside of that, nothing's really standing out here. So Angels versus righties. Again, the Reds are kind of low, but outside of that, pretty decent on the green. So, and props. He only has a few earned runs, and if you go before he got hurt, or you can see the numbers. Nah, I'm not liking any of these numbers. Let's go Anderson, look at his history. We got some info. Nimmo's 12 at bats, 417 with 1-1. Pretty good. And we'll look at Nimmo and Ward in the hit stuff here in a second. None of those really stand out. A lot of Reds here, even though they got some good at bats. Mets versus lefties. Mets like to hit some lefties. So you can see the numbers. They like to hit them well. 400, 359, 500. Yeah. So you can see the props hits. Ks are up double digit twice now for Anderson. Earned runs, walks, outs. I mean, they hit well. He pitches well. They kind of wash each other out. So I'm not looking at any of the pitcher props. Let's go over here to this, and we see I got Ward and Nimmo highlighted. Not much. Both of them to get a strikeout. That's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. A 2-game parlay. Nah, I'll pass on that. Ward, everything else is 60 or below. We're starting to get into territory. So they have decent matchups based on history, but they're not doing good now. And I need both of those to be pretty decent for me to play it. So yeah, I don't like either of these. I'm going to pass on that as well. So we come back over here. I don't like any props. I don't like the Nerfy. Pitching goes to LA. Mets get the batting. That cancels out this. I don't like any team total stuff. So for me, I'm going to have to pass completely on this game and just move on to the next one. All right, next up we got Colorado and San Diego. We can see San Diego's minus 180. 8.5 is your total. Let's look over at the bats. So we see that it's 59.4% Nerfy based on what they've done this year. 4.7 for 17th for Colorado in their last 3 runs. San Diego 6.7 for 8th. Advantage San Diego. Batting average has a clear advantage. 210 for 27th for Colorado. Meanwhile, San Diego is at 292 for 5th. Big ol' advantage for San Diego in this one on the bats. And Colorado is striking out a ton, as you expect. So, and San Diego is not. That's what they do. Looking at the pitchers, Vasquez is going out there for San Diego. And you can see he has not faced Colorado recently, but he has been pretty good outside of his last game. 4 hits, 6 earned against Baltimore. Before that, his last blow up was Philly way back in June. So that's, a couple in there, not bad. Gomber's going out there for Colorado, and we can see what they have done. He's consistent. I'll say that. Consistently mid. We'll go with that. 4 or 5 runs a game. There's a 3, there's a 1. Yeah, good games. Okay, great. Good. Clap it up for him. So you can see what he's done. Let's look at the props. History. We'll do Gomber first as we're talking about him. History against San Diego batters. We got some Machado's 27 at bats, $185. That ain't good for Machado. So you can see the rest of the stats. I mean, he's up. Some are good. Some are like 364. Some are bad. So San Diego versus lefties. They like righties more. Profar does. You can see the numbers. Who likes what? And some of the Reds are just some terrible looking Reds. So earned runs 2.5. He's gone over this in 9 out of 10 games, and the head-to-head, he's gone 6-3. Yeah, last 3 have been great. So he's been shutting down San Diego the last 3 times he's faced him. So let's go strikeouts. He's up on strikeouts. he's doing better. I mean, it almost feels like a pretty even pitching matchup to me, the way this is looking. So nothing's really standing out here. Let's go over to Vasquez, his history against the Rocks. We've already, you can see the information here. There's a lot of high OPSs here. You see the information, a lot of greens, a lot of high averages, but not many at bats. So we got to take that what we will. On top of that, Colorado versus righties, they're about 50-50 either way. But some of it, I mean, there's nothing that really, there's no 300s on here, so it's nothing really. There's a 297 for Tovar, but eh. Let's look at the props for him. Earned runs, he's up and down hard. Nothing, yeah, up and down here. It's really hard to judge. And he's pretty consistent through here, but 4.5 against Colorado. Well, their average is 17th right now. I don't think I could do that. Yeah, I'm not liking any of the pitcher props. There's no hitter props to stand out. You can see the rest of the hitters. You can see a lot of 80s, but a couple 90s on here. You know, Tovar to get a hit is 90%, but there's no real data with it. So I don't really want to I need some good data before I take it, because we're just slowly getting into the hit market. So we're going to slowly limp into it a little bit, if you will. So you can see all this, like Gomber, 90%, 2.5 earned runs. Yeah, sure. But he's been doing good against San Diego his last 3 times. So that's worth noting. So I'm not going to take any props. If anything, I think Gomber is shutting down San Diego. That's weird. And I mean, you would lean San Diego. The money line says take San Diego, but the bat say take San Diego. I don't know if I want to take San Diego, to be honest, because of how Gomber's done against him the last 3 times he faced him. So, oh, this is weird. This will be the 4th one in a row. I'm not liking anything. I think I'm going to I got to do it. I think I got to take a 4th pass in a row and move on to the next game. All right, next up we got Philadelphia and Seattle. And it's pretty much a pick 'em. 8 is your total. Looking at the bats, we see 49% Nerfy based on what they've done this year. 5 runs versus 6.3. That's 13th and 10th. Slight advantage for Seattle. 228 versus 245. That's 16th and 23rd. That is a slight advantage for Seattle again, but Seattle is downtrending a little bit. That's the thing to note. And both are at 9.7 strikeouts, which is 21st. So let's look closer at the pitchers. We got Tyler Phillips going out there for Philly. He's pitched in 4 games this year. Pretty good. Last 2 games, 4 straight shutouts. Just, yeah, okay. Dude might be a beast. Okay, Philly might have them one. And then Woo's going out there for Seattle, who has been pretty good all year. So we got a pretty decent pitching matchup. We have 2 offenses that are 23rd and 16th. Ooh, Nerfy's close. I'm telling you, looking at the pitchers, the Nerfy's close. So let's look a little closer, see what we can see. Phillips, history, there's not going to be any. He's only pitched 4 games. And against Seattle, righties or lefties, 50-50 split. You can see there's a 300, but a couple 100s here. That ain't good. 142 is terrible. So you can see the stats. Let's look at props. He doesn't have much. Obviously, he's only pitched in that many games. Strikeouts, he's not a strikeout dude. He does not give up runs. He only gives up a few hits. But he does go outs. But now he did go a complete game. They might bring him back. The same thing happened with Cease a few days ago. They only let him pitch 5 2/3. Now he did hit 100 pitches. That did make sense too. So that's something to note. Let's look at Woo. See what Woo has going on. Nothing history. Philly history bats. We got some 1s on here again. Schwarber 183. This is versus righties. Up and down. Turner's 321. But outside of that, not much information. And we look at some props. We have strikeouts. That's all we got for Woo. Come on, books, you're killing me. Okay, you can see he's not really much of a strikeout dude. So, and I'll show all the dudes just because you can see the information, who has what, who's done what. We got hits and bases and singles and whatnot, but nothing's really standing out here for me. I need to see a history with it. So, for the bats, for everything else, we have 2 pitchers that are pretty decent. To be honest, Philly's lost 4 games in a row. That's worth noting too. In Seattle, it's a pick 'em. So I think for this one, I am going to take, I said it earlier, I think it's in play. Both pitchers are good. And both teams, Seattle's coming down. They're struggling. Philly's got lost 4 in a row. They're struggling to win games. I think I want to take the Nerfy. Did you know that Yerfy went 4-1 yesterday? Just a random thing out there. Only 5 games. They went 4-1. So I am going to take the Nerfy in this game. Averages matter. Both pitchers are good. I'm I'm going Nerfy. We're going to go with it. It's not the strongest. If all the plays on the board, it's my weakest play. I'll tell you right now, but I just, the pitchers are there. Everything's lining up. So we're going to take the Nerfy. I'm not going to take a side. Philly might have the better pitcher. Seattle has a better offense slightly. Yeah, I don't like any of the props. So, but Nerfy stood out to me. So we're going to take that Nerfy and we're just going to move on to the next game. All right, last game. We got the Dodgers and the Athletics. We see that the Dodgers are minus 160, 8.5 is the total. Looking at this, 52% Nerfy based on what they do this year. 4-point runs versus 3.7 in their last three. There's no advantage in that one. They're both in the bottom 10. 182 for the Dodgers for 29th in the last three. Oakland 218 for 25th in their last three. So both offenses are absolutely miserable. They're both trending down. Dodgers are swinging and missing everything. Oakland, they're not striking out that much. For once, Oakland's doing decent with the bats. So Nerfy is 100% on the table in this game. So let's look at the pitchers. We got Gavin Stone going out there. Who's Stone? He gives up 4 runs occasionally. Did get great against Boston. Complete game 4 hitter against the White Sox. It was the White Sox, but you can see what's going on. Yeah, pretty decent overall. Hasn't faced Oakland recently, which is good for pitchers. Estes is going out there against the Dahlias. I mean, he's up and down. He had a terrible game against Boston. Pretty great games outside of that. So the pitchers are pretty good. I say pretty good. I say they're average to above average in pitching. So I like the pitchers more than the bats. So that automatically makes me want to take the Nerfy, but we will dig a little deeper. Let's keep hunting just to see what we find. Estes, history against the Dodgers. Nothing stands out. So we got a 1 for 3 and a 0 for 2. So not good enough. Dodgers versus righties. Then they look like they might be a little bit better against lefties because some of these numbers are just not the best. 203, I'm not, that's not good. Look at some props. Outs, strikeouts, hits, earned runs, walks. I mean, come on. I don't know if I like any of that. Yeah, because he had the complete game and all of a sudden back to 5. So yeah, yeah, I can't. I don't know like any of this. Let's do Stone now. Stone has never faced him. That's great for pitching, especially for a Nerfy. For the righties, they're about 50-50 split for Oakland, no matter what they do. But the 199, like, come on, 143. Look at these numbers. There's no 300s on there, is there? No, 294 for Rooker. That's the only one I'm worried about would be Rooker so far. Obviously, LA's got the, Ohtani and them going out there. So, but still, is a Nerfy the craziest play in this game? But the way the stats are lining up, I mean, well, look, walks, strikeout. We got an EV play for strikeout. Should be 177. We're getting 140. Why? 4.5. Who's he faced? He faced Arizona, Philly, Boston, and Houston. Didn't strike out much. They don't strike out much as teams. White Sox, Colorado, Yankees, Colorado, Mets, and KC. Ooh, I might have to take me some Gavin Stone strikeouts. Yeah, it's an EV play, and we got some good data with it too. Yeah. I don't like the outs at all either. So, okay, I think this is what I'm going to do. This one, I'm going to take the Stone strikeouts over 4.5 Ks. Just because it's an EV play. I like me some EV plays. Every time I get some expected value, I like that. And we get some good historical data, I like that too. So we're going to take it. Yeah, it's 140. That's fine. I'm fine with it. No problem. And then also, I'm going to take, based on this, I'm going to take the Nerfy. It feels so weird taking the Nerfy in a Dodgers game, but see how bad the Dodgers have been recently offensively? I mean, if they have a breakout today, they have a breakout, but I'm going to take the Nerfy. That gives me 2 Nerfies in the last 2 games. That's funny. I will not be staying up late to watch these games, apparently. So that's going to be over in the first inning. So, okay. So we got Stone over 4.5 strikeouts. We got the Nerfy, and that's it. We're done. All right. That's it. That's all 15 games broken down on Friday here. It's a wild schedule. It looks like there should be some potential mismatches here, but if you look closer like we did, you'll see these are a lot of close games. So going over the money line parlay, guess what? There isn't one because I didn't take a single money line today. Not a one, not a single, not nothing, not one. First time ever. We're going to rock with it, see what happens. I did take a couple bats that stood out. Perez for KC and Ward for LA Angels. Those two stood out. I'm going to put them in a little 2-game home run parlay and see what happens. Why not? right? Because they have historical home run success against their pitchers they're facing. On top of that, drop a like, subscribe, share. Check out Outlier. That's the link in the description. You saw how awesome it was. All this great information it gives. It's great. If you want to join the membership, check all that out. Discord, all that fun stuff's there. On top of that, hopefully we all have a great day. The vibes are high. We're going to keep them high. August is going to be an amazing month for us. I can already speak it to its existence because it will happen. On top of that, we will see you tomorrow to discuss more profits.